Welcome to Toy Mark channel. My name is Sammy. We focus on how to raise holistic children that are balanced, that are stable, that are strong, that can live in this world amicably and peacefully as disciplined and as upright children. I raised a question to parents on Facebook. The question was this: modern children are too fragile and weak. They should not be disciplined. Is this true or false? I got many responses, very divergent views, observations, many suggestions for the different approaches parents use to raise their children. Just to give a summary of the proposals, the findings, the observations, and the suggestions that were made by various parents. What is the place of discipline in parenting? Is discipline important? Is discipline necessary? What is discipline? Why should we discipline? And what happens if we do not discipline our children? Discipline means to correct, to rebuke, and to restore. The objective of discipline is to correct your child, is to rebuke your child, and to restore them to the path that you expect them to walk in. It also means to foster moral integrity. Discipline does not necessarily mean beating or punishment. Discipline is meant to deal with disobedience, manipulation, and defiance from what was previously taught. There must have been some previous teaching. There must have been previous guidance. There must have been previous instruction. When you read various chapters in the book of Proverbs in the Bible, you will see many scriptures that talk about discipline. From Proverbs chapter 10 verse 17, Proverbs chapter 2 verse 1, Proverbs chapter 13 verse 1, Proverbs chapter 13 verse 24, Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6, Proverbs chapter 22 verse 15, Proverbs chapter 29 verse 15, Proverbs chapter 29 verse 17. I just want to read Proverbs chapter 13 verse 1 and Proverbs chapter 13 verse 24. Chapter 13 verse 1, the Bible says, "A wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a mocker does not respond to rebukes." Verse 24, the Bible says, "Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them." If as parents we are afraid or we shy away from taking the tough path or the hard path of ensuring that our children get the right discipline, then we do not love them. Failure to discipline our children according to the Bible is actually hatred to the children, because that is like setting them up for failure and destruction. So if we do not commit ourselves to discipline our children, the Bible is telling us that we do not love them. So failure to discipline our children is not a sign of love. It is actually, according to the Bible, a sign of hatred. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. The points that you need to note about discipline. Number 1, discipline, which is correction and restoration, should have a reference point. A reference point means previous training, instruction, guidance, role modeling, and mentorship. From the previous video that I did a while ago, I talked about parenting being training, instruction, guidance, role modeling, and mentorship. So discipline should have a reference point, because discipline is correction and restoration. So if discipline is correction and restoration, it means that there must be a reference point. Your correcting and restoring your child to the path that you trained them, you instructed them, you guided them, you role modeled to them, and you have mentored them. So that means the reference point is the previous training, instruction, guidance, role modeling, and mentorship. You can only discipline your child if they deviate from what you have already taught them. If they deviate from your training, your instruction, your guidance, your role modeling, and your mentorship. Number 2, discipline is not violence, torture, or abuse. For example, kicking your child, slapping your child, hard blows, cooking stick, shoes, throwing a glass to your child, throwing a plate to your child, punching them, punching their head. All those are not discipline, but they have graduated to violence, torture, mistreatment, or abuse. Number 3, avoid projecting your frustrations, your stresses, or any other issues that are external to your child. Maybe it could be stress at work, maybe it is your spouse, a relative. That is not the mistake or the responsibility of your child or your children. So as you discipline them, be careful not to project your frustrations, your failures, your struggles, your pains, and all other external issues that are not relevant to your child. Be careful not to carry baggage from outside to your child. Even if you have to discipline them, keep all those other emotional issues away from your child so that they do not become recipients of your failure, of your pain, of your struggles, of your stresses, or external issues that are affecting you. Your pain should not become their pain. Your stresses should not become their stress. Your failures, your struggles, your challenges should not become the challenges of your children, especially when you want to correct and restore them to the right path. As you deal with your child, be sober and be alert and be careful with the state of your mental health. Number 4, deterrent actions should be applied if verbal correction and restoration is not followed. The actions that you take should be preceded by verbal correction and restoration. Correct your child first, warn them first, rebuke them first, try to restore them first with your words, with your counsel, with your wisdom, with your instruction, with your training, with your guidance. Then if they deviate from that guidance, if they do not obey, if they rebel, if they disobey, if they decide to defy, then the actions you take should be the second step after use of words. Do not be that parent who jumps to a child upon making the first mistake. Do not be that parent who takes quick action before engaging your child. You have to use words first. You have to talk to them first. Then if they defy, if they disobey, if they do not follow, if they are deliberately disobeying, then now you can take action. Number 5, before you discipline your child, you have to rule out any possibility that their misbehavior is a means of communicating something to you. Maybe your child is misbehaving because they are trying to seek your attention, to pass a message to you. So rule out any possibility that their misbehavior is a sign that you are not giving them the attention they desire. Maybe you are too busy with your phone, maybe you are too busy talking to your friends, maybe you are too busy working on your laptop, engaged on other issues, and you are not giving your child the attention they so desire or crave for. So sometimes they may misbehave, they may do something that will force attention to them, So be careful not to discipline them if they are just doing something, trying to get your attention. Maybe they may just do something, trying to catch your attention. And if you give your attention to them, you listen to them, you just engage them, you show affection to them, you show love to them, you give them the attention they so desire, then they stop whatever they were doing. Number 7, always note that discipline is meant to deter deliberate defiance, deliberate deviation, disobedience, manipulation, and rebellion from what has been taught. Finally, number 8, every child is uniquely different from any other. So as a parent, you know the best deterrent to use. Some parents suggested that they can lock up their child in a room, they can deny them something they like. Others said they must use a cane. Whatever you do, you understand your child better. And every child is unique, every child is different, every child is not like any other. If they understand a cane or they are careful not to be caned, then you have to use it appropriately. If they are careful when they are denied something and they get the message and the essence of discipline is correction and restoration. So if a cane is what corrects and restores them better and it works for them and they understand, then you have to use it. If denying them that cartoon program or whatever they like, whatever means that you use as a deterrent to defiance, to rebellion, to disobedience, to manipulation, and to arrogance, you have to use that method appropriately, and as long as it does not get to the extremes of abuse, violence, torture, and mistreatment. What happens when you fail to correct and restore your child? The child you have, the child you may be raising, could look small, fragile, and weak, and innocent when they are young. A time will come when they grow a big chest. A time will come when they look at you on the face and challenge you, your decisions, and challenge your instructions. A time will come and they will face you straight on your eye and say no to you. A time will come they can scare you. A time will come they can threaten you. A time may come that they may become a source of pain. So your failure to parent them correctly, your failure or avoidance to discipline your child when they are young, when they are small, may become a source of pain and tears to you later on when they are grown, because the value system that you pass to them will shape them in their future. They will shape their behavior when they become adults, when they become teenagers, and later on when they become adults. The behavior and the value system that you will pass to your children will shape their behavior when they are teenagers and when they become adults. So if you miss it at their tender age, then you cannot impart or pass on the right value system to them when they are grown up. It will be hard, it will be difficult. They will make the choices that they deem right to them, and you will only be an onlooker and will not be able to influence them. If you cannot influence them at their young age, then as at their adulthood, you can only advise them, and they can choose whether to follow your advice or not. They can choose whether to heed to whatever you caution them on or not. They will have the strength and the choice to make when they are grown. So you have to pass the right value system to them at the young age. What happens if you fail to discipline your children? Number 1, they may become a source of pain and tears to you if they can't take a no for a no, if they feel entitled to everything And that is one of the challenges that we have in our society today, that whatever they demand for, they get. If we teach our sons or our daughters that everything that they want, they will be given, they will grow up with that feeling and sense of entitlement. And that's why most of them cannot take no for a no. If you go with them to the supermarket and they demand for something, and if you can't pick it for them, they throw tantrums. It becomes a source of pain and embarrassment to you. And even if you do not desire to buy whatever they are demanding for, you end up having to buy it to avoid embarrassment. Anytime a child throws tantrums just demanding for something with that sense of entitlement, you should withhold whatever they are demanding. They should learn how to ask for items or for things in a polite manner. These are the things that we have to train our children on. And if they don't follow the training, then we have to enforce the training with some discipline. Number 2, if you cannot correct and restore your child, you are setting them up for punishment and even for imprisonment soon or later in their lives. Because if they will not be disciplined, they will take a direction, and as they get to teenage and adulthood, they will take directions that you cannot control them. And what happens to them? To find themselves going against the law of the land, and they'll be punished for it, or they can get imprisoned for it because they did not get the discipline that they should have gotten at home. Number 3, if you cannot discipline your child, you may later be faced with uncontrollable, deliberate, and unmanageable defiance and rebellion. If you cannot deal with indiscipline, disobedience, manipulation, and defiance in your child when they are small, when they grow up, you'll be faced with deliberate defiance and rebellion, and you'll not be able to manage it. Finally, number 4, if you cannot discipline your child, you may have to seek the assistance of the police to deal with violence and crime perpetrated by your own son or daughter. As a parent, if you do not take up the place of correcting and restoring your child, it may get to a point where you are not able to manage your child. It may get to a point where you have to call for the intervention of neighbors or even the intervention of the police. So that small child that looks innocent, the misbehavior, the rebellion, the manipulation, the tantrums they are throwing, if you continue to feed them and to allow them, they'll become a monster. They'll become a giant. And if you allow it as they get to teenage and adulthood, you will not manage it. So it is for us as parents to take up the responsibility and know that there is a place of discipline in the lives of our children. There is a place of discipline in our parenting. It is up to us to rise to the occasion and know that we are with our children for a specific and short time. We have to give the best value system. We have to correct them. We have to restore them in the right way. The discipline that we give to our children should not become violence. It should not become mistreatment. It should not become abuse. It should not become torture. I hope you have learned something. I hope you're getting something. And if you have enjoyed the video, please just like it, subscribe to the channel, share. Let's meet in the next video. Bye bye and thank you.